Hi, how are you? I hope you are good. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, as I have finished the brothers Karamazov today, and it was a very lengthy read, and it was more than 1100 pages. Like you can see, I have shown you this book so many times. So today I was able to finish this as it was my holiday, and now I will try my best to review this book. Before that, I would like to tell you that there are 4 parts in this book and 12 books. It is the division or the or how Dostoevsky has divided this book. There are 4 parts, 12 books, and 96 chapters. 93 chapters plus 3 chapters in the epilogue. So I actually don't think I'm worthy to review this book in totality, because definitely and naturally I'm going to miss so many important aspects of this book. But still, I will try my best, because I have decided that I will review this book in parts. Like there are 4 parts. First I will talk about first part, then second, then third, and the last part. Let's do it now, with your permission. Part 1 starts with the introduction of family. Now there are 3 brothers and one illegitimate son is also there, and their relationship with the father, Fyodor Pavlovich. So whole book rotates around the relationship between the father and the sons. Plus there are other additional important aspects, like the religious system, that elder system of Russia, and there is a story of a child which comes on later on. So in the beginning there is this relationship between fathers and sons, and there are 3 sons, like as I have told you. Dmitri is the eldest son, Ivan or Ivan, he is the second son of Fyodor Pavlovich, and Alyosha is the youngest. Smirdyakov is also called the illegitimate son of Fyodor Pavlovich, and there are servants Grigory and Marfa. They are also very important for this novel. And in the beginning of this novel, there is this important meeting at the monastery where all the sons except Smirdyakov, they attend the meeting, and Fyodor Pavlovich is also there. They are there to negotiate between the Fyodor Pavlovich and Dmitri's. Dmitri says that his father is robbing him of his property from his mother's side. So in the beginning it is clear that how much hate Dmitri has for his father. It is clear from this meeting, and this meeting is not just a meeting, it's a scandal. So there are so many different things, so many things happen, and at one point Father Josima is also there in that meeting, and seeing so much intense repulsion and hatred in Dmitri's eyes, Josima at the end of the meeting bows down to Dmitri, and this emerges as a scandal, and everybody talks about this thing, like why did the Father Josima bows down to Dmitri. So it happens, and at that time Father Josima says to Alyosha that Alyosha stays in monastery. He is a spiritual person. Father Josima says to Alyosha that Alyosha, you have to take care of Dmitri and your brother. You are more needed into your family, and you immediately need to go to them. This is after the meeting. So this thing happens mostly in first part of the novel. As first part this plot is completely set as Dmitri is completely against his father. Ivan, who is an intellectual, he doesn't care about the relationship between Dmitri and his father and how they fight with each other. He is quite indifferent. He lives in a different world, as he is intellectual, and his way of thinking is quite different. Okay, And now in part 2, as uh, there is this laceration thing with Katerina Ivanova, and how she likes Dmitri and how Dmitri hates her, which forces or pushes Katerina Ivanova to like Dmitri more and more. And in that way, she hurts Ivan. Ivan likes Katerina, and Katerina knows this. The more Dmitri hurts Katerina, the more Katerina's hurt falls for Dmitri. So there is this background story that I'm not going to discuss, how Katerina Ivanova and Dmitri came into contact in the past, and how their relationship emerged, and what happened in their past. So this is quite a long story, which is almost impossible for me to cover in this review. So that's a very important part of this book. And there is also very interesting chapters, like Ivan meets Alyosha. So Alyosha in this whole novel meets all these people again and again. He is always very busy, like he has so much important business, because he knows that something bad will happen. So he's always on his guard, he's always alert, he always rushes to one place and another. And he meets Ivan as well. I'm sorry, sometimes I say Ivan, sometimes it's Ivan, so please forgive me for that. So he meets Ivan, and now there is this meeting between Ivan and Alyosha. They talk extensively about certain things, like Ivan talk about certain intellectual subjects. Ivan doesn't believe in the current order of society, especially the way people, especially some cruel people, they meet torture, they subjugate people to grave torture, torments, and still there is no punishment for them. You must have seen that there are so many people who are so cruel, but there is no punishment, though immediate punishment, or at least no earthly punishment for them. They live their life, and after 70 or 80 years they die, because due to some illness or disease. But there is no punishment for their crimes. So Ivan is very angry on this thing, and he is almost a rebel. He rebels against the god. He says that why those people are not subjected to punishment here on this earth, why they are subjected to punishment on the other world or heavenly justice. He says that he doesn't believe in this system where there is no punishment for these people, where it says that people say that like they will be punished in some other world because of their bad deeds. Ivan says that this is illogical. He wants the punishment should be meted out in this world in front of his eyes. He gives so many examples to Alyosha in this uh, intellectual discussion, this profundity. I just love it, seriously. Believe me, you won't believe me, I don't know, but I like it so much. And then there is the most interesting chapter, that is the Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is one of the best chapters of this book. And people, like, there are so many people, as you can see, this book is ginormous, huge. There are thousands of pages. Some people don't read this book. And on Amazon, if you search the Grand Inquisitor, the chapter of this book, there is that small book on this chapter. So you can imagine that how famous this chapter is, as it is available separately on Amazon. So Grand Inquisitor, I wish I could discuss that chapter, but my video will be too long, and I don't want to prolong my video talking about each chapter in detail. And in part 2 there is a Father Josima's story, and there are so many chapters devoted on his story, like he was in the army, and then how uh, dissipated his life was previously, and how a watershed moment came into his life and he chose to become an ascetic or a religious monk. So this happens in part 2, and in part 3 now Mitya, he has his girl Grushenka. Mitya loves Grushenka too much. He is very passionate about her and he is almost crazy. Mitya's personality is, what should I say? It's more than passionate. It's like incomparable. I can't compare Mitya's personality with any other person, and I don't have exact words to describe his personality. And Mitya is in deep need of money. Actually, he has squandered Katerina Ivanova's money. When you read this, you will understand that. I'm sorry. I seem vague, but I am unable to cover or, continue the chain of events in exact order. Uh, I just can't do this. So I have to rush. And so Mitya is in huge need of money. He says to Alyosha that he needs 3,000 rubles at any cost, otherwise, and Fyodor Pavlovich, his father, should give his due share of his property, and after that he will not ask him for even a single ruble. He will surrender all his claims to his property. But Fyodor Pavlovich is adamant. He doesn't give Dmitri even a single ruble. So then there is this incident, and there is this mysterious murder of Fyodor Pavlovich. And now we move to part 4. I won't talk about murder in detail because in part 4 it is completely based on the trial, how Mitya is arrested when he is traveling with Gurushanka at a different place, how he is squandering so much money there, how he is arrested by police captain, prosecutor, and doctor, investigating lawyer as well. Like, there are so many people. The trial, it is very fascinating. Like, in the trial, there are a number of witnesses. Mitya has dug his grave himself. When you read this book, when you read these chapters, you will understand that how he has injured his image by his own diarrhea of the mouth, by his own talkativeness, by his own loquaciousness. So in the trial, the thing is, first there is this witnesses statements. So many witnesses appear and they deliver their statements. Then there is this and this is the main event of this book, let me tell you. This prosecutor's speech, how he sums up all the events. And psychology plays a very important role. And how he uses psychology to conceive certain situations, to understand the psychology of prisoner Mitya. And in the same manner, after the speech of prosecutor, when he demands harshest punishment for Mitya, Dmitri, then defense lawyer's statement or speech is equally exciting, maybe more exciting than the prosecution speech. So after both these speeches, then there is this jury system, and there are 12 members in the juries, and the judge, there are 3 judges, and judges say that to the juries, now the responsibility is on your shoulder, take your decision wisely. So after much deliberation, that jury is not much I should say intelligent, or they don't have much worldly knowledge, but they are just regular ordinary guys. Some are peasants, some are lowly clerks, and some are merchants. So in just 1 hour they come to the conclusion that Mitya is guilty because of so many events, so many evidence that I haven't discussed here yet in this video, but that is there in this book. When you read this, you will understand that they say that Mitya is completely guilty on so many charges. So this is what happens in part 4. Then there is epilogue. In epilogue, there is this escape plan. I haven't discussed or I haven't touched the most interesting aspect, like how Ivan is responsible indirectly for this mother and what is the role of Smirdakov. I won't discuss this for the sake of interest or curiosity, so that when you touch this book, when you leaf through the pages, your interests remain intact and you find this book as charming as I have found it. And there is one other character in this book, that is, he's a child, Alyosha. He dies. He is very weak. Like, his father has been insulted by Dmitri. In the beginning of the novel, his father has been bitten by Dmitri. So that child of almost 12 or 13, he is unable to bear such insult. He talks and says to his father that, father, why has he insulted you? And this is very important and emotional part of this novel that I don't want to touch upon, because it's quite piquant and emotional, and if you read this you will understand that. So overall, this book, it is not about just a single event. It contains, it encompasses so many different things, so many different elements, aspects. Like, when I started reading this novel, the story was quite different. Then story moved from one phase to the next, and how at the end it was completely something different. And one thing I particularly liked about this book is that how Fyodor Dostoevsky, how he ingrained certain traits and characters in individual personality. Like, it's remarkable, or I should say it's enigmatic, how it is possible. Seriously, I can't conceive that how one person, I'm talking about Dostoevsky, how he thought about different situations from so many different people, so many different personalities. Because of all these things, this book, this my favorite, my sweet darling, this book is one of my favorite books after Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment will always remain on top on my favorite list, but this book has a very special place. Now I have read it physically, and the experience on Audible was different, but reading it physically, it has fused me with a naive energy that I can't describe in words. So I think I have tried my best, but whether my video makes sense or not, I am not sure about it. But my passion for this book is beyond any words, and it's just incomparable. And with that, I will take your permission, as my video is about to touch 20th minute. I don't want to surpass it 20th minute, but I wish I could talk more. And in my next videos, I will talk about more about this book, like particularly about certain events, and I will talk about them in length, because in that way, I think I can give due justice to each chapter, to each book, to each part, to each character, to each personality, to each important event of this book. So with that, I would like to have your permission, and before going, let me tell you, this will be my next read, that is The Outsider, and the other name of this novel is The Stranger. I hope you have heard about this novel, or maybe, I guess, you have read this novel, and it is by Albert Camus. Albert Camus is very famous. He's the 20th century novelist, or I should say philosopher. He has read I'm sorry, he has written so many interesting philosophical texts that I hope that I will read in the near future. And let me read something from this, just one line. Okay, this is the last part. when when I was just going through the pages, I just came across this and I will read it. This is the afterword. A long time ago, I summed up the outsider in a sentence which I realize is extremely paradoxical. In our society, any man who doesn't cry at his mother's funeral is liable to be condemned to death. I won't read further because I haven't read this book. And with that, I will take your permission and I will see you soon with a new video. I want to make more videos about the other contents that I follow, that I use on my channel. And I will see you soon. Bye. Take care. Have a nice time.